Hello, this is Watch All About with another watch review, and in this review we're looking at the Aquatico Blue Angels. So let's first of all get it out of the box. Nothing too exciting really. And we open it up and here it is. So you get obviously the watch, but you also get an extra NATO strap, which is pretty nice, pretty standard though, no markings or anything like that. And also you get a little warranty card there too. You see we've got Aquatico printed on the underside of the box itself. So let's just pop that out. Nothing too exciting about the unboxing process, so let's move on quickly. So there is a little bit of confusion here. Obviously Aquatico, Aqua gives you the sense of water themed watches. You'd expect it just to be dive watches. However, here we have an obvious aviation based watch. So you know, a little bit of confusion there from the brand, but however, it doesn't stop it looking great. Obviously, you can tell by just the way it looks and the style of the dial, style of the case as well, that it is an obvious aviator homage, if you will. So, what's the price of this one? This is RRP of about 100. Well, the RRP is $199. So in pounds, that's about £155. And let's go through some of the specs now. So I've got approximately a 7 to a 7¼ inch wrist, and for me the size is pretty good. 40mm diameter, we've got a height of 11.5mm, and we have a lug to lug length of 50mm. Now I think it's a really good choice. Usually beaters or aviation watches, you know, tend to be around the 44mm size. For many people, that's too large. It looks a bit like a dinner plate on the wrist, especially with the style of the watches. They are very bold, very legible. So they can often look like really, really large. So in this instance, I think they've done a really good job in, you know, making the case a little bit smaller, making it fit more people, regular people like me. And I think it's just really the perfect size because it's large enough to you know, create an impression, large enough to catch your eye, especially being that the dial is completely galvanized steel, as you can see. But it's, you know, it's not too small. So really you get the looks, but not the uncomfortable bulkiness of a large aviation beater size case. Weight-wise, 64 grams, so nice and light as well, easy to wear. You can easily wear it all day long, you won't notice it. Water resistance, 10 atmospheres or 100 meters, so you have a measure of protection there. I wouldn't go swimming with it. Obviously, it's a leather strap anyway, so hopefully you wouldn't want to do that. But you do have a measure of protection if you do accidentally drop it in any water at all. Lug width is 22mm, so really nice, thick strap. I think it goes perfectly well with the size of the case as well. You get a 1-year warranty with this watch, so you're covered there if anything does go wrong. And the movement is a Seiko NH35. So really decent workhorse movement. We do see it a lot. This one is regulated to plus 9.1 seconds a day. So usually I personally aim for, you know, within about 10 seconds a day. So yes, it's pretty average. Nothing outstanding, however. I mean, these are really well regulated straight out of the factory, these Seiko NH35. So I doubt Aquatico have really spent any time actually regulating it further. So there you go. Okay, so let's discuss the watch in closer detail then, starting off with the dial. So as I mentioned before, we have a very eye-catching galvanized dial. So the central disc has a sunburst effect, and then this disc around the outer side has a concentric circular pattern engraved into it. Very nice, as you can see. It really catches the light really well, especially when you rotate it around. So it is very eye-catching. Legibility isn't really affected in real life, day-to-day life either. I mean, it's quite difficult getting a decent shot on it with the camera, because I am right next to a window, so we are getting a fair bit of reflection. However, with my actual eyes, normal eyesight, it isn't the same. It is good and legible. Obviously, legibility is helped by the nice thick fish style hands, which are ever so slightly brushed in appearance. We'll get the macro lens out and have a look at it in closer detail later. And also the nice bold numerals as well. Also, I have to say that the lume is really, really fantastic on this watch. It is incredibly bright, it charges very quickly, and it lasts a long time. In fact, I mean, I'm in broad daylight and you can see the glowing there. It is really that impressive. You know, when you're outside for a few minutes in daylight and you come inside, you can see it glowing that brightly. It is really, really impressive, especially for a watch, you know, costing $200. Usually lume and the strap are two things that are never really high quality on a cheaper, affordable watch. However, both of them are fantastic on this watch. Obviously, we'll talk about the strap later. So, continuing with the dial, we have the date window as well. It's just cut straight out of the dial base. It could probably do with being a little bit neater if I'm being picky, but it does the job, and you know, it's relatively subtle. We also have the 24-hour like times printed within the inside of this galvanized central disc. I mean, design-wise, it's very nice. You know, there's plenty of information there. However, it is still very simple, very legible, and very bold as well. And you know, all the print work is nice and fine. Obviously, the lume is great. So they've done a really good job on craftsmanship of the dial. Moving on to the case, then, it's completely brushed. So it's hopefully going to be fairly hard wearing, keep up against any scratches. The crown is a decent size as well if you do want to hand wind the movement. You've got decent grip on that. We've got the Aquatico logo very gently like engraved into it as well. Again, we'll look at that in closer detail. Moving on to the case back, it's a bit unusual because usually you'd expect some information engraved around the outside here. However, there's just a few little bits of information on the actual exhibition window itself, and even then it's just a Aquatico watch. The depth rating and automatic, and obviously we have this fighter jet silhouette as well on the case back. Looks good, however, it does make the case back look a bit strangely naked. It does make you have a double take, but there we go. Shows off the movement relatively well. Apart from the plane does get in the way a little bit. If you're like me and you love to just to watch any movement going, even if it is a workhorse Seiko, then it is a little bit. It does get in the way a little bit. The case shape is very standard barrel that you'd kind of expect with an aviation watch. Nothing outrageous there. The one main negative in the entire watch really is that it doesn't have a sapphire crystal. Granted, it's not standard mineral crystal. It is K1 hardened mineral crystal. But even so, you know, when you're spending $200 on a watch, you can get some watches which are, you know, 60 quid, less than $100. They all have sapphire crystals. So it is a bit of a shame that it isn't a sapphire crystal, but at least it is K1 hardened, which does mean it is hardened than standard mineral crystal. Okay, moving on to the strap then. As I mentioned before, it's one of the nicest parts of the watch, and it is really, really lovely quality leather. Really thick and supple. You know, when you touch it, it's really, really nice. Kind of got a nice feel to it. It's obviously a very good quality leather hide, and it just looks great as well. I like these little horizontal stitched bits here. We've got a V at the base of the long section as well. Nice big thick holes, which work well with the buckle, and then these keeper loops nice and thick and rugged as well. Very rustic feel, but I really like that, and I think it's a really fantastic strap for the price. The buckle is fairly standard tang buckle. It's fully brushed to match the case, and it has a Aquatico logo quite lightly engraved on the top bar there. Okay, so let's get the macro lens on and look at it in much closer detail. Okay, so starting off with the dial. Here we have the print work, nice and accurate. You can see also our galvanized base to the central disc. Here's our date window, and we can also see our concentric circular pattern on the outer disc, and some of our nice lume-filled numeral hour markers as well. Moving on to the hands, you can see they've got this brushed finish to them as well. Reflect the light nicely, keeping it all nice and legible. We have a bold red tip on the second hand as well. So yeah, really good, really impressed with the dial. Have this rehaut as well. which again is sort of a brushed finish to it. Everything is very brushed, very steel-esque. Nice little print work on that as well. Moving on to the case itself, nothing too exciting really. Three-piece, so we've got this top bezel, and then we have our lugs. You know, fairly nicely machined. Nothing too exciting really. And then moving on to our case back, it's a screw-in case back, but again, no markings or anything like that, and just straight into our exhibition window. However, first let's have a look at the crown. So there's the logo lightly etched in the end. Fairly decent grip on it as well though, and a nice shape as well to be able to use it. There we go. So moving on to the movement itself. Well, we can have a look at this print work on the exhibition window. So there's the print work on the underside, got the depth there, and over here automatic, and here we have our actual silhouette of a fighter jet as well. So moving on to the Seiko movement, if I can move the rotor out of the way, let's have a look. Here it is ticking away. So as is always the case, you know, it's a fairly standard, sturdy workhorse movement, a little bit grubby in places, as I've come to see many times. However, you know, relatively well regulated, easy to regulate yourself if you want to, and it's going to be sure to just tick away for many years. Yeah, it's a good choice for a movement. Moving on to the strap then. Here's our top stitch section. You can just see the grain here, nice and rustic colour to it. And on the underside, nothing marked on the underside, however some print work there, the width. And also it's good to note that we have quick release pins, which is always very handy. And moving on to the buckle then, again brushed like the case, very lightly engraved on the top bar. Okay, so I personally really like this watch. I think for the price, you know, you can't really go wrong. As I said, the only negative, I mean, the date window could be a little bit neater, but it's not really necessary because to the naked eye it looks fine. The only really negative to think about is the fact that it doesn't have a sapphire crystal. Everything else is actually really good for the price. The dial construction, really nice apart from the date window. The loom, fantastic. You know, you can't go wrong with the loom at all. Really impressive for the price. Quality of the strap, really nice, really comfortable to wear as well. And it's eye-catching design as well. You know, it is a fairly standard, trivial aviation kind of themed watch. However, I do like the way, you know, they've used this galvanized steel base to it. It is eye-catching, so they've done a really good job on it. So I really like it, and for the price, you can't complain too much, to be honest. You know, under $200 or £155, really good choice there. Okay, so this was the Aquatico Blue Angels, and that's what it's all about.